everybody. I am your host for the night. I'm currently here by myself, but we may have other players from Monday night trickle in as they want. But tonight's topic, since we're not going to have session, tonight's topic is creating your character. Starting right from the very basics of creating a level 1 character to the complications of creating something that's maybe a little bit higher level if you hop into a campaign that's already started, or perhaps you just your campaign starts at a higher level. Who knows? So this is what we're going to cover tonight. Don't mind me, I'm going to be eating during stream, as I just got home like 20 minutes ago and made food, so I will be eating while doing this, so please bear with me, and I apologize for any weird sounds. It's just my food. I'm having beef stroganoff. Welcome, Knight. If any of you have any questions in chat, please feel free to ask while I'm going through how to create your character. Hot. So, the beautiful thing, or a beautiful thing with Roll20 is that it has this feature called the Character Mancer. Is the music too loud? I think that's about as good as she's gonna get. Hang on, let me play around with the settings a little bit. Should be much better. Thank you for letting me know, Knight. Alright, so, with Roll20, there's this beautiful thing called the Character Mancer. You can create an NPC if you're a Dungeon Master using Roll20, you can create NPCs using the character sheet, or you can edit the sheet directly. You do what is most comfortable for you, but if you are a first-time player coming in and never having played before, it's probably best to use the Character Mancer because it will fill in 90% of the stuff that you're going to take or going to use. So we're going to start with the Character Mancer. It'll come up with this sheet saying that you have access to anything in the Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition standard edition book and the player's handbook. Okay. I have in this is my test area, so this is where I would go to test character sheets, test to make sure I've got things set up correctly for spells, attacks, what have you. So, here we are. We're starting. So you gotta hit next. First thing it wants you to do is it wants you to pick a race. You want to have a character concept in mind when you start. Because it makes it easier. Now, I'm going to show you 2 websites, and these 2 websites are great for D&D related references, and then I'll show you another one which is really great for character names and descriptions and whatnot. So, first things first, the D&D Wiki, which is dnd5e.fandom.com/wiki. This is great. It has everything that is Wizards of the Coast approved. So it has the description of what your ability scores are, your character details, so alignment, backgrounds, characteristics, etc. It has your races, and if you click on races here, it'll take you to all 47 playable races that are Wizards of the Coast approved. So for fun, well, not for fun, for the ease of doing this, we're going to go with what's available here in on the Character Mancer. That's not to say that you can't choose something else, because you could choose custom, and then it gives you all of this stuff to fill in. Which means you could use any of these races. You could be a vampire if you wanted, or you could be a Kenku, a Yuan-ti pureblood. This has Wizards of the Coast official material. D&D, so D-A-N-D, wiki.com/wiki/main page, which is up here. This has homebrew. It has canon. Well, I say canon, but it has Wizards of the Coast approved stuff. It has stuff that is available for beta testing, for play testing. This is a great resource. I don't tend to use it. I tend to stick to what is Wizards of the Coast approved, but this still has some really great stuff. You'll have custom races, custom backgrounds, classes, equipment. It's fun. It's a decent site to use. I use it for my Tuesday night campaign where I play an elf orc, custom race, and a blade who is a blade dancer. Also, again, custom class. But for now, for the ease of this, we're gonna start by choosing a race that's already in here. And we're gonna go with half elf because who doesn't love half elves? Alright. So, because we're a half elf, we get all of this stuff here on the right, automatically. And then we can choose one of these two. We can choose two more to increase our ability scores by. We're going to go with Dexterity, and we're going to go with Constitution. Now, some DMs will be a real stickler for your alignment. If you're playing with Captain Sack or myself, Pink Rambo, we are not super sticklers on your alignment. Now, personally, if you tell me that you are chaotic good and you decide to kill a bunch of children, there's going to be a thing. You know, things are going to happen. You're not going to just get to kill a bunch of children because you are chaotic good. But we're going to go with chaotic neutral because we need to select something. As a half elf, our size is medium, the speed is 30. So this is how much you can move during combat. Skill proficiencies, we can choose 2. Now, what I tend to do is I will make my character, except for choosing my skill proficiencies, because I will input my skill proficiencies from my background, and then I will input my skill proficiencies from my race, if I have any, and then I do my class proficiencies, because then you're not overlapping, you're not missing out on proficiencies. It's just easier to do it this way. So what we're doing for now is we're going to do it this way. If we have to come back, we will. We're going to take Perception and Acrobatics. We also get another language because we're half elf. So we're just going to pick something fun. We're going to go with Infernal. We get Dark Vision and Fey Ancestry because of what we are. With all of this inputted now, we're going to hit Next, which takes us to our class. And again, you have 2 different types of classes. Okay, you have Battlers, who tend to deal with I'm going to hit, and Spellcasters with I'm going to cast a spell. And then the Unearthed Arcana has a few more. For the ease of this, we're going to pick a fighter. Okay, and so you click on the Fighter tab, and this is everything you need to know about playing a fighter. Everything. Everything you need to know is right here. It has your archetypes. It has everything that you would need to know to be a fighter. Okay? And because I know that the fighter is actually in here, that's why we're doing the fighter. Okay? It'll fill in weapon proficiencies. It will fill in armor proficiencies. And then we get to choose 2 more skill proficiencies. So, we're going to take Intimidation and Insight, because why the hell not? We get to choose a fighting style. So because I put a point into Dexterity and did not put one into Strength, we're going to go with Dueling, which gives us a +2 as long as we have one weapon in one hand and nothing in the other. We get Second Wind, and then the equipment here. We're going to hit Next. The abilities only allows us to do it by custom. And then you would input your scores here. Now, when rolling for your scores on Roll20, there's a beautiful little feature on Roll20 that allows you to do /roll, and if you take a look at the bottom right-hand corner, you'll see where I'm doing it. So it'll be /roll 4d6 k3. What this does is it will roll 4 d6s, and it will keep the highest 3. As you can see, the 2 is grayed out, so that means we have a stat score of 15 to start. And if you press up well selected in the chat box on the keyboard, it'll go to the last thing you rolled. So, do that 4, 5, 6, 7. Alright. Decent rolls. They're okay. These rolls are okay. You know, they could be better, but they could be a hell of a lot worse too. So, because we went with dueling, we're going to be making a dexterity fighter. So, we want to put the 15 into dexterity. Next highest, typically, if you're a spellcaster, your highest goes into your spellcasting modifier, the second highest goes into your dexterity, so that you can have a good initiative roll. The next highest would go into constitution. However, because we're making a fighter, it is first on attack, then on constitution. So the 14 is going to go into constitution. From there, we can distribute them however we want, because we have a +2 in charisma. I'm going to put one of the 13s in charisma. We're going to put a 13 in strength. Intelligence is going to be a 12. I rolled one too many times. You know what? We're going to do it this way. I rolled too many times, but we're going to take these. So, this is how you roll and input your stats. Okay? In the character Mancer, it'll give you descriptions of what each of these do. We're gonna hit next. Next big thing is the backgrounds. For whatever reason, the character Mancer only has the Acolyte available to select, so that's what we're gonna select. Normally, if I was playing a fighter that's a half-elf, I'd go to this section here on the D&D wiki and go to backgrounds. And it has all of these backgrounds listed. You know, we could pick anything. Anything at all. And you can put it in as a custom background and you can have fun with it. Your background helps determine who you are as a character. It's fun. It could be silly. You could wind up with things that don't sort of make sense, and then you gotta make your background so that it does make sense. But because we get language proficiencies, we are also going to take Gnomish and Primordial, because why the hell not? So the cool thing about this is that it gives you a list. So your personality trait, you have to pick 2. You get your personality traits ideally from your background. You don't have to take them from your background, but you can. You could make up anything you'd like, as long as it fits your background. Or you can roll a d8 and see what you get. So we're gonna roll because it's fun. So I can find common ground between the fiercest of enemies, empathizing with them and always working towards peace. And I've spent so long in the temple that I have little practical experience dealing with people in the outside world. These two kind of contradict each other, so maybe they're not the best to take, but we're gonna leave it. Your ideal is a d6. Now, you can take your alignment into consideration when choosing your ideal. You don't have to. So we're gonna go with chaotic. We are chaotic neutral, so it works. The bond is something that ties you. What is your purpose? And so we're gonna roll, and we seek to preserve a sacred text that my enemies consider heretical and seek to destroy. So this is our bond. This is what drives us as a character. And then our flaw, because no character is perfect and every character has a flaw. And I am suspicious of strangers and expect the worst of them. But of course. And this is our background. Backgrounds can be as simple or as complicated as you want them to be. Most of the time, they're fairly simple. Exactly, Steve. Exactly. And yet, we still love him anyway. Okay, so we're going to start with the class starting equipment because it's just easier, and I'm just going to quickly fill this out because this is literally based on what you want to do as a character. So we're going to go with the leather armor, rapier, and you know what? We're going to take the shield because why not? Light crossbow, and we're going to take the explorer's back. Okay? With a prayer book. Okay? And that's your equipment. That's literally how easy your equipment is if you do the class equipment. You could do starting wealth and then you just buy items based on the tables. But I find that the starting equipment's pretty decent. And this would be where if you'd chosen a spellcaster, you could pull in your starting spells. Feats. You could choose to take a feat on your level ups. And by level ups, I mean when you have a chance to have an ability score increase, you can choose to take a feat instead. The biography. This is where you input... Yes, that is true. This is where you put all of that descriptive information. So, what your character's name is, how old are they, how tall are they, how much do they weigh, what color are their eyes, what color is their hair, what color is their skin. This is where you input all of that. Then, gives us a chance to review. And then see, if we have something that doubles up, we can always go back and change something. So it's telling me I already have this, I've chosen the skill insight, but I get it from my background. So we're going to go back to class. We're going to come here where we chose insight, and we're going to pick athletics, because we're a fighter, and what fighter doesn't take athletics? Okay? And if you don't see any red, you're good to go. You're going to hit apply changes, and it's going to build your character right for you. And now it's all filled in and ready to go. It is time consuming to do it on your own, but then you are significantly more aware of what is going on. You become more familiar when you have to put the information in yourself. So, I want to show you guys one of my old characters that I imported from another game. His name is Aethlin Dontar, and I multi-classed with him. He was from my Curse of Strahd game that we played. As you can see, he was an assassin rogue at 7th level and a champion fighter at 2nd level, which made him a total combined level of level 9. He had nothing in the way of strength, but his dexterity was pretty damn high and could talk or intimidate his way through anything, because that's how I designed him. He had a 12 acrobatics, 12 deception, 12 intimidation, and 12 stealth, because the beautiful thing about rogues is that we get this beautiful thing called expertise, which doubles our proficiency on rolls. It's great. It is part of how I got us out of Barovia. That was a tale and a half. But that's not the point of tonight. So, but as you see here, when you look underneath, and please let me know if you guys can't see it, I will zoom in so it's a little bit easier to see. Underneath each title here in features and traits, it has racial half-elf, or class, rogue, level 1, or background, criminal background. This helps you denote things when you are multi-classing, or just helps you denote things in general. I find it really good to have. But small otherwise. Okay. So we'll just zoom in, because that's a beautiful feature with Roll20. So if you take a look here, it says class, rogue. Alright. This is my equipment, where I have equipped a Ring of True Sight because, well, he's appeared in another campaign. On my Sunday campaign. So if we head over to bio, we also see how old he is, what color of skin he has, what color his eyes are. And then you see, I'm just going to zoom out just a little bit. You see where I have put information. He has a daughter. This is information from Curse of Strahd. That was important for him to know. A nightmare that he had that would pull, that he would remember at random when going through Barovia. His background, which I wrote quite extensively. I don't have his character appearance written because I have his character appearance as a picture. Which, let me see, where the hell did I post him last? My face when I don't remember when the last time I posted him was. Second. scrolling back through some things. But I had a character concept. I wanted to play an assassin, and I wanted to play a rogue. So it was really convenient when the rogue has the assassin archetype. And so I made an assassin. He was and is the best assassin in the crime organization called the Syndicate. Well, the Syndicate, being the awful organization that it is, oh my god, when was the last time I freaking posted this? So, other stuff. Oh my god. I know I sent it to a friend, like, recently. And I just trying to scroll up through this long-ass conversation. Okay, there's Shigar. Haha, there you are. This is Aethlin. As you can see, he's a half-elf. He was out for anything that he could steal. Not steal, but he was out for anything he could get his hands on. And it was all about him and getting money for his daughter. And then, he fell in love with a party member. And it became anything for him and the love of his life. So, spell abilities would be here. If I had gone Arcane Trickster, I would have spells. But I didn't go Arcane Trickster. So, with that in mind, so this is a level 1 fighter. All set, ready to go as an Acolyte. Now, I recently had to make a level 10 character because we started with a level 10 campaign. And I'm going to pull up my lovely, lovely level 10 Blade Dancer, Elf Orc, Shigar. She is completely made of home-brewed things, with the exception of her background, because her background is actually a it's off of the Charlatan background. I think it's a variation of the Charlatan background. But as you can see, her stats are significantly better than any, a lot of other things, because she's level 10. She has quite a bit in features and traits. And I'm not saying that starting with a higher level character is bad, but bear in mind, as you level up, you become more and more familiar with your character and what their abilities are and what they do. So I'm still trying to remember, me personally, stuff to do with her Dance of Death, or stuff to do with One with the Wind, or various other things, because it's a homebrew. It's not something that's a basic class where it's a little bit easier to understand. But she is a lot of fun to play. You thought fighters hit like trucks? This girl, it's even worse. It's great. I love her to bits, and I can't wait to play her tomorrow night. So, with that in mind, the best bet for doing level ups, if you have to create a character that's, say, level 5, for example, okay, we're just going to make this fighter level 5, okay, now, sometimes, I could have sworn that there was, so you could actually level up via the Character Mancer. Sorry, I'm just gonna hit cancel, because I want to come back here and make this level 1. So, the Character Mancer introduced something called, Level Up with Character Mancer, which is right down here in your Options tab. If you can't see, we're gonna... try to scroll in here, it's not letting me. So, anyway. Over here, under Core Bio and Spells, is a little gear. If you click on the gear, this opens your option menu. You can click Launch Level with Character Mancer. This allows us to level up our character using the Charactermancer if it's an SRD. Yes, the Charactermancer's thing itself is relatively new. You should have seen me freaking out when I realized that, when I thought that my character sheet had disappeared because Charactermancer showed up over all character sheets. I lost my shit. I was so scared I had lost my character sheet. But you hit next, so levels. We want to go to, we're gonna go to level 5, which, well, we're going up 5 levels, so it'd take us to level 6. Alright, now, we can choose to roll our HP, or we can just take the average. For the sake of ease, we're just gonna take the average. But sometimes you get better on rolls, so like if I hit roll, we did okay until the very last one. But we're going to take the average because we get more HP that way. Just for now. Some DMs will let you do, some DMs will allow you to roll, and if your roll is below the average, they'll let you take the average. Cap does it, I do it. I think it's just better because then you're not so worried about your HP and you have a little bit more fun. That's what I believe. Anyway. And then apparently the only martial archetype for the fighter that's in the character creator level up is the champion, so that's the one we're gonna pick. So we also get this lovely thing called improved critical. Yes, exactly. Okay, and then we'll hit next. So features, it gives you a rundown of what you're getting and at what level you're getting it at. Because we're fighters, we get a bunch of ability score increases. This would be different for every character. Spellcasters are going to get more spell slots and new spells. Like different kinds of fighters. So your barbarian, your fighter, your paladin, your rogue, your rangers. They're all going to get different things at different levels. But because we made a fighter, this is what we're going to go with. So we're going to hit next because we get 2 ability score increases. Now, if I remember correctly, our dexterity is at a 16, and you could literally take both of them, put both of them into dexterity, and have a 20 dex. However, you could also choose to take a feat. It's not letting me because I think that's an issue with the, I think it's an issue with the Charactermancer, because it's not letting me click on feat. But you could take a feat when you have an ability score increase. So, for the ease of it, we're going to put this in dexterity. You hit next. This is what happens after you level. You can apply changes. And we've just leveled up our character to level 6. And everything is already in there for us. Now, this works for stuff that is in the compendium. So, your base classes and, like, the basic of base classes. This isn't going to work for homebrew classes. This won't work for the revised ranger, for example. So for those, you're going to have to do it by hand. And we're going to level up our fighter to level 7 by hand. Why? Because I need to show you guys how to do it. Alright? So, with that in mind, I'm just going to pull up my fighter table over here. We are going to come up here to the right hand corner, click that so we can get to the level, make ourselves level 7. And then, first things first, we're going to hit the word hit dice. What it'll do is it rolls a d10 plus your constitution modifier, and the average of a d10 is 6, so it's 8, and we are now up to 60 HP. It's as simple and as easy as that. I wish I was kidding. I'm not. That is literally how simple it is. So, at 7th level, we also get a martial archetype feature, and because we took champion, because it's all they had. At 7th level, we also get remarkable athlete. So, we're going to come here into features and traits. You're going to click the little plus button down here in the left-hand corner, where it says name. You're going to input remarkable athlete. Athlete. I know how to spell. I swear. Alright, class. And then the source type is fighter champion. Okay? And then you hit tab. This is where you put your description. So you go to wherever it is. If you're copying it from a book, you're going to have to type it out. But if you're taking it right from a website, you can copy paste it right in here. Click the gear, and there it is. Done. You're level up for level 7? No problem. We're done. So, with that in mind, this isn't... Playing D&D is not hard, and character creation can sometimes seem overwhelming. It's not as overwhelming as people think it is. It can be one of the most joyous experiences you could have. Sometimes you come up with a character concept. You come up with something that you want to do, and you're like, man, this would be really cool if I could do this. And sometimes it's, oh, this seems like a really cool class, or this seems like a really neat race, and so you make that. Me, I had been listening to, for example, one of the characters that I have on here is Valaine Derrick, and with her, I had been listening to a lot of Lindsey Stirling. And for those who don't know, Lindsey Stirling is a violin player. And so I wanted to create a bard because I hadn't made a bard yet, and I figure, well, I can sing, so might as well make a bard because then I can have fun doing that kind of stuff. And I'm like, okay, well, I want to make a bard. So I'm looking at all of the stuff for the bard, and then I looked at races, and I'm like, oh, there's a vampire race. I think that would be really cool. So I talked to my DM, and I'm like, I would like to use this race. And he's like, well, you're gonna have problems with this, because vampires in 5e suffered from light sensitivity. Well, our way around that is that her backpack has a umbrella that keeps her sheltered from the sun. And when she fights, her rapier is custom made. So her rapier actually has, along the edge of it, violin strings. And that means that she can play and fight at the same time. It makes for quite a fun RP-esque character. She still acts like a bard, she still functions exactly like a bard, but at the end of the day, she's a vampire. She plays and fights at the same time because she fights with a violin, and her rapier has the strings on it. Yes, exactly. So I can shred. And so it's one of those things. You can come up with a character concept, be like, this is what I want to do. We had somebody in the Discord actually ask whether or not, or how to create a character based on this concept. And I'm like, well, okay, that's kind of cool. And here's how you could turn it into a workable character. However, it's one of those things that you really can't, unless you're the DM and they want to do something specific, you can't help people create their characters. Because if you're not the DM, you don't know what the DM's rules are. For those who haven't joined us on the Discord, please feel free to join us over on Discord, where we get into all sorts of shenanigans and have fun. So now this is high fantasy, and by high fantasy I mean I don't think any of these characters would have call to know or use a gun, for example. We haven't ran into a gunsmith in any of the campaigns that I have played. Gunsmiths are fun. They're interesting. So are the alchemists. But the artificer is an unearthed arcana, which is still Wizards of the Coast approved. Now, if you have no problem making a character. Everything's fine. You've made the character and you're set to go. And then you're sitting there like, well, what the hell do I name my character? How do I find a description? There is a lovely site called fantasynamegenerators.com. This lovely site has fantasy names where you can do, say you've made a half-orc and you want an orc name. O's. I know where O's are. There we go. You can click orc names. It gives you an option of female or male or female names. You can also do half-orcs for D&D and Pathfinder. And then they have other ones that are more centered around, say, Warcraft or Warhammer 40k. There are so many different options. Okay? On top of that, there is description generators. So you can describe clothing. You can describe battlefields, castles. There is one for character description. So we're going to hit a character description. And this is what we get. This is really great, by the way, if you're a dungeon master and you have a really hard time coming up with descriptions. Because you can get female descriptions, male descriptions. This is really great for describing your NPCs. But it has a whole bunch of different name generators. But that's the basics of character creation. And then the other thing you can do is this is the one that I hate doing this, and it drives me nuts because I would love to support artists, but let's be honest, I'm broke, and I'm sure many others are also broke. If you can't find a good description, but perhaps you know what you're looking for, you know that you want a male half-elf fighter, okay? This is what you want. Search it up on Google. There is nothing wrong with searching it on Google. My only problem with this, and this is my biggest problem with using things that aren't ours, and I am guilty for this because, I'll be honest, I'm awful at character description. Do you see where it says where it's from? Where it says Pinterest? That is because people have pinned it and tagged it as things. And then it doesn't always link back to the person who made it, so you can't even go support people if you wanted to. So, yeah. I dislike Pinterest a lot. I think it's awful. But if you can, find references. And then if you've got the money, commission a friend who's got art. Or, if you're part of our Discord, commission one of our beautiful artists to draw your D&D character. Many of them take commissions. I'm not going to say all because I don't know the exact status of all of the artists in our Discord, but I know many of them take commissions. So, I don't see why you wouldn't be able to say, oh, well, his armor looks like this one, but his facial shape looks more like this guy, and his hair looks like this. You know, there's nothing wrong with saying, these are my references, can you draw me a composite of that? And as long as you pay the artist, or the artist offers to do it for free, everything's Gucci, and everything's fine. I don't like taking photos that are just online. I tend to take photos for the beginning, and then eventually when I get a chance, I will get a friend to draw it for me, because my skills in drawing are crap at best. So, that's character creation in a nutshell. Your background and your biography and your character descriptions are what you want it to be. And you want to build something that you're going to be able to play easily. I didn't have a problem playing Aethlin. I actually really enjoyed playing Aethlin. For the time that I got to play him. I didn't play Verlaine for very long, so I didn't really get a huge feel for her background, for her. But Aethlin, I played him for almost a year. Oh god, yes. And if your artist says that they'll do it for free, buy them a coffee, buy them something. Even if you're not giving them money, make sure that they have something. Give them something in compensation for their time. So on top of this, so I played Aethlin for a long time. I'm gonna hop out of my test area here, and I'm gonna take you over to one of my other mini games. So A Knight's Ransom is one that I'm running. Storm King's Thunder I run. Prince of the Apocalypse I run. The Menagerie we talked about. Sugar. We're going to open this one, which is the Foundations of Adelar campaign. You'll notice that I still have my old character sheet on here. I still have Annalise Gascoigne, which is actually something I started. Like, I started this campaign with this image, and I drew this. It's not 100% great, but it works. You know? And her character sheet, and this is all filled in. I actually wrote out a huge description for her, like, detailing exactly what she was. Her background was written out. These were notes that I made for the campaign itself. This was who we had to go see. This was her allies and organizations. Her descriptions. She was level 7 when she had to split ways from the party. But I loved her. She was fun to play. And then Callista. Art done by the beautiful and perfect Chief who plays Arneth on Monday nights. And this is actually a really good way to show you. This is what your spell page would look like. If you're a spellcaster of some sort, this is what your spell page is going to look like. You'll have how many spells you have per long rest. And then you fill these in, and then you just start subtracting them as you use spells. When you hit 0, you don't have any spells left of that area or spell slots left of that level. I apologize for my coughing. I am coming down sick. Now, there are different styles to campaigns beyond D&D 5e. There is a game type called Monster of the Week that deals solely with D6s. You only roll D6s and that's all there is. And then, of course, there is Pathfinder, the cousin to Dungeons & Dragons. The cousin, in which awful math happens. And I call it awful math because it is. Pathfinder is nothing but math, and as much as I love the game mode, it is significantly more complicated than 5e will ever hope to be. This was the second season of the very first campaign I ever played. And I was playing the son of my previous character. The guy who played the husband that married my previous character was playing the daughter. But this is what the character sheet looks like for Pathfinder. It is significantly more detailed than 5e. That's not to say it's not better. That's not to say it doesn't have its place. I just personally, for character creation, and for people who are just starting out, I do not recommend starting with Pathfinder at all. I started with Pathfinder. It was awful. I had so many questions, and I didn't know what was going on 90% of the time. But there are so many different types of games out there. 5e is just the tip of the iceberg. I could create a new game, start up as with a custom game I make myself. Sure, maybe it uses the 5e rule set, but it has so many different things, and it has specific rules. Like, for example, my homebrew, which I'm not gonna show you guys beyond just pulling this up here. A Knight's Ransom has specific things in it that has to do with how magic works, and that is because that is part of the world that I've created. And it's part of the fun. And the big thing you gotta remember is that D&D is all about fun. And how much fun you have is dependent not just on you, but on your party. So, basically what I'm saying is, don't be a cockwaffle. Sorry, I'm not allowed to say that. Oops. Don't be an asshole. Have fun. If your character's an asshole, great, awesome. Play your character as an asshole. You as a player, don't be an asshole. Because as a player, if you're an asshole, nobody's going to want to play with you. And you're going to ruin the experience for everybody else. But, at the end of the day, all I wanted to show you guys was character creation. If we have another night where we don't have session, we may turn to maybe something a little bit more extensive. And by extensive, I mean I will perhaps do map creation and giving you a DM's look on how to use Roll20. How do you set up campaigns? How do you resize sheets and whatnot? But that is for another time. My throat can't take too much more of me talking, and I need to finish eating because I didn't wind up eating anything while I sat here and talked. So, in that vein, I hope everybody has a good night. We will be back on Wednesday with Binary Heroes, where we find out just what is going on with Cerberus 6. I'm looking forward to it. I hope you are. Hopefully I will actually get Adela's face makeup on again. But if not, well. And if we don't see you on Wednesday for Binary Heroes, we will see you guys next week. On the Monday. We will see you guys next week on Monday for more Foundations of Adelar, where we find out just what the hell we're going to do. And what Callista's going to do now that somebody is trying to determine whether or not she can be trusted. So, with that in mind, I will talk to you guys later, and this is Maddie, signing off, and I love you all very, very much. I will see you guys on Wednesday.